We are going to look at simplifying radicals, which means how can you take a radical and rewrite it so it looks the same, but it's more in a more simplified form. So, and this is the assignment. Let me pull up the notes here. Okay. Let's make it a little bit bigger too. Okay. So the symbol for square roots, and you've done these before, it looks like this. And the square root symbol is also called a radical. And first semester we looked at putting things into radical form. So square roots are also called radicals. And your goal today is to be able to simplify a radical. So we're going to start by looking at square numbers. We've talked about these before in factoring. They're called square numbers because they're formed from the area of a square. So if you have a 1 by 1 square, the area is 1. If you have a 2 by 2 square, the area is 4. A 3 by 3 square, the area is 9, and so on. So all of these are square numbers, and our goal here is, and again, they're called square numbers because they're formed from the area of a square. And right here, list all the square numbers from 1 to 144 below. So let's do that. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16, 5 times 5 is 25, 6 times 6 is 36, 7 times 7 is 49, we have 64, we have 81, 100, 121, 144. I'm going to keep going. All right, so we're going to simplify square roots. Let's go over this first. It says the answer to the square root of 9 is 3 and negative 3 because 3 squared is 9 and negative 3 squared is 9. There's two answers to the square root of 25 because 5 squared is 25 and negative 5 squared is 25, and so on. When we simplify square roots, we're going to pull out square numbers. So the answer to the square root of 36 is 6, also negative 6. The square root of 16 is 4 and negative 4. And the square root of 64 is 8 and negative 8. All right, what if a number isn't a perfect square? So for example, the square root of 50. So here are all the steps written out. The first thing is think of your square numbers. What's the biggest square number you can divide 50 by? It's 25. 25 and 2 are factors of 50. So we can rewrite the square root of 50 as the square root of 25 times the square root of 2, and then we can break it apart. So it's the square root of 25 times the square root of 2. The square root of 25 we can simplify further to 5. So there's two answers, 5 square root of 2 and negative 5 square root of 2. So let's do another one together. The square root of 40. What is the biggest number of our square numbers that we can divide 40 by? And that would be 4. 4 times 10. So we're going to rewrite this as the square root of 4 times the square root of 10, and that equals 2 square root of 10. So there's two answers, positive square root of 10, and we could also say negative 2 square root of 10. Okay. Let's simplify the square root of 48. So again, you want to think, what's the biggest number we can divide 48 by? And I believe it's 16. So we can rewrite this as the square root of 16 times the square root of 3. The square root of 16 is 4. So we get 4 square root of 3 and also negative 4 square root of 3. Okay, so here's some for you to try. The square root of 72. So we want the biggest square number we can divide 72 by. And so if you don't know, you just can go down the list, and I think it's 36. So the square root of 36, square root of 2. And that answer will be 6 square root of 2. Now you can put plus or minus. Today I think we'll just look at the positive answer. So if you just have 6 square root of 2, that's fine. All right, how about the square root of 50? What's the biggest square number you can divide 50 by? And it's 25. 25 times 2. And the square root of 25 is 5. So we get 5 square root of 2. How about 108? What's the biggest number you can divide 108 by? And this one I don't know. I'm going to have to try this one. All right, ends up being 36. So this is the square root of 36 times the square root of 3. The square root of 36 is 6, so we get 6 square root of 3. Now these are equivalent. You can check your answer by typing in 6 times the square root of 3, and then if you type in the square root of 108, you'll get the same answer. All right, and that's it for simplifying square roots. So again, the steps are divide by your square numbers and figure out what's the biggest square number you can divide it by, pull it out, simplify it, and you'll get your answer.